They said the old Blackwood Manor was empty, a hollowed-out shell of forgotten grandeur sleeping under a thick blanket of ivy. But they never spoke of what awoke in its garden when the moon was highest in the sky and the world of waking mortals had long since surrendered to slumber. They didn't know about the secret, the one that Elara was about to discover. Elara had always been a creature of the quiet hours. While others found solace in the sun, she found magic in the moonlight. She was a cartographer of constellations, a listener of the night's subtle symphony. Her new job as the caretaker of the Blackwood estate was meant to be a simple, solitary affair, mending fences, dusting relics of a bygone era, and keeping the wild grounds from completely swallowing the old stone house. It was a peaceful existence, bordered by the rhythm of sunrise and sunset. But a strange, magnetic pull had started to disrupt that rhythm, a gentle but insistent tug on her curiosity that always seemed to grow stronger after dusk. It began with a scent, a fragrance unlike any she had ever known, and she knew the sense of the wild well. This was not the earthy perfume of damp soil or the sweet jasmine that clung to the southern wall. This was something ethereal, a complex bouquet of night-blooming cereus, vanilla, and something else, something that smelled like starlight and silver. It was a scent that seemed to ride on the midnight breeze and disappear with the first hint of dawn, leaving her to wonder if she had only dreamed it. Tonight, the scent was stronger than ever, a siren's call to her senses. Wrapped in a thick woolen shawl against the cool air, Elara stepped out of the small cottage at the edge of the estate. The moon, a perfect luminous pearl, hung in an indigo sky, casting long skeletal shadows from the ancient oaks. She followed the scent, her slippers making soft, whispering sounds on the dew-kissed grass. It led her away from the manicured front lawns and towards the back of the manor, to a part of the garden she had yet to explore. A high, crumbling stone wall, almost completely consumed by ivy, stood before her. It seemed impassable, a definitive end to the cultivated grounds. But the scent was coming from the other side. It poured over the wall like a fragrant, invisible waterfall. Her heart beat a little faster, a gentle drum against her ribs. She ran her hands along the cold, rough stone, searching for a gate, a loose rock, anything. Her fingers brushed against something hard and metallic beneath the thick curtain of ivy. With a surge of excitement, she pulled at the dense leaves, tearing them away in fragrant green handfuls. There, hidden for what must have been decades, was a small iron door, no taller than her shoulder. It was wrought with intricate, swirling patterns of vines and flowers she didn't recognize, and at its center, where a handle should have been, was a flat, smooth indentation in the shape of a crescent moon. There was no lock, no keyhole, just the cool, unyielding iron. She pushed, but it wouldn't budge. Disappointment pricked at her, sharp and sudden. Was this the end of her midnight quest? As she leaned her head against the door in frustration, she watched her own breath plume in the chilled air, lit by the brilliant moonlight. An idea, simple and perhaps foolish, sparked in her mind. The indentation, the crescent moon. It was a perfect match for the phase of the moon in the sky above. Hesitantly, she reached out and placed her palm flat against the cold iron, covering the crescent moon symbol. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a low, resonant hum vibrated through the metal, traveling up her arm and into her very bones. The intricate iron vines on the door began to glow with a soft, lavender light, tracing their patterns in the darkness. A quiet, metallic click echoed in the stillness, and the small door swung silently inward, revealing not darkness, but a soft, pulsating luminescence. She took a breath, the air that spilled out from the doorway, thick with that intoxicating, magical scent. Stepping through the archway, she felt as if she had crossed a threshold into another world. Before her lay a garden that defied every law of nature she knew. It was bathed in a gentle, internal light, not from the moon above, but from the plants themselves. Great bell-shaped flowers, the color of amethyst, dripped glowing silver pollen that floated in the air like dust motes in a sunbeam. ferns with fronds of spun moonlight uncurled in slow motion, their edges traced in soft phosphorescent green. Broad-leafed trees, their bark a deep, shimmering indigo, held clusters of fruit that glowed like tiny lanterns, shifting in color from soft peach to pale rose. This was the source of the scent. This was the secret of Blackwood Manor, a garden that lived and breathed and bloomed only in the deep, quiet heart of the night. She walked down a path of smooth, dark stones that seemed to absorb the sound of her footsteps. The air was warm and still, alive with the gentle, chiming hum of unseen nocturnal creatures. She reached out to touch the petal of a flower that resembled a lily, but its petals were the color of a twilight sky, streaked with purple and deep blue. As her fingers brushed against it, the flower brightened, its inner light intensifying in response to her touch, and a soft, melodic note, like a single pluck of a harp string, hung in the air. Elara felt a laugh bubble up inside her, a sound of pure, unadulterated wonder. Every single plant in this impossible place seemed to be alive, not just in the biological sense, but with a consciousness, an awareness that was both ancient and deeply peaceful. As she wandered deeper, she saw a stream, its water not clear, but a swirling, liquid nebula of deep purples and blues, with tiny star-like lights drifting in its current. It flowed not with a gurgle, but with a sound like a low, gentle whisper, as if sharing the oldest secrets of the earth. In the center of the garden, bathed in the collective glow of the flora, stood a single, ancient tree that was different from the rest. Its branches were silver, and instead of leaves, it bore delicate, crystalline blossoms that chimed softly in a breeze only they could feel. And beneath this celestial tree, nestled amongst its glowing roots, was a small moss-covered stone bench. It looked as though it had been waiting for someone. As she approached, she noticed something half buried in the glowing moss next to the bench. It was a small, leather-bound book, its cover worn smooth with age. It wasn't glowing like the plants, but it seemed to hold its own kind of gravity, a quiet darkness in a world of light. Her curiosity overpowering her caution, she knelt down, her fingers brushing away the phosphorescent moss. The book felt cool and solid in her hands. There was no title, no markings, just a simple brass clasp holding it shut. What secrets could a book like this hold in a place like this? As she worked the delicate clasp, it sprang open with a soft click, and the first page lay revealed. The paper was thick and soft, the color of aged cream, and it seemed to absorb the garden's ambient light, holding it within its fibers like a captured dawn. There were no printed mechanical letters on the page. Instead, words flowed in a graceful looping script, written in an ink the color of deep twilight, almost black but with a hint of violet. The writing was not a story, not a map, but a voice, a welcome. To the one who sits beneath the silver chimes, it began, the words seeming to hum with the same quiet energy as the stream. Be at peace. You have not stumbled into this place by chance, but were led by a quiet question in your heart. This is the Lullaby Garden, a place where the world remembers how to rest. It is a dream of the earth, and you, for a time, are a part of that dream. Do not seek to understand it all at once. Simply be. Listen. The garden has much to share with those who are quiet enough to hear it. Elara read the words again, her fingers tracing the elegant curves of the script. A quiet question in her heart. She hadn't even realized it was there, but the book was right. A deep, unspoken yearning for a place of stillness, a place away from the noise and hurry of her world. A sense of profound calm settled over her, loosening a knot of tension she hadn't known she carried. The book wasn't a manual or a book of spells. It was a companion. She turned the page. The paper made no sound, turning as silently as a petal falling. The next page held only a few lines. Begin where the stars flow. Let the water of memory wash the dust of the waking world from your hands. Let its whisper remind you of what it is to be weightless. Looking up from the book, she saw the stream again, its liquid nebula swirling with its gentle, silent currents. It seemed to beckon her now. Leaving the book open on the bench, nestled safely among the glowing moss, she walked toward the bank. The ground beneath her feet was soft and springy, a carpet of tiny, luminous blue mosses that cushioned her every step. As she knelt at the stream's edge, the whispering sound grew a little clearer, not louder, but more distinct, like a multitude of soft voices all murmuring the same peaceful secret. Hesitantly, she reached out and dipped her fingers into the water. The sensation was extraordinary. It wasn't wet in the way of normal water. It was cool, yes, but smooth and silky, like touching liquid silk or the trail of a comet. It didn't cling to her skin. The tiny points of light within the current, the little drifting stars, gathered around her hand, swirling and dancing around her fingers in intricate, slow-moving patterns. They pulsed with a gentle warmth, a comforting energy that traveled up her arm and settled in her chest, a feeling like coming home after a long journey. She felt the weariness of her day, of all her days, simply dissolving, carried away by the star-dusted current. The whispering sound seemed to seep into her very being, a lullaby of timelessness, telling her that there was no need to rush, no need to worry, that all was well and all would be well. She stayed there for a long time, mesmerized, watching the miniature galaxies eddy and flow around her hand. When she finally drew her hand back, her skin was dry, but it held a faint silvery luminescence, as if she had been dusted with the finest starlight. She felt lighter, her mind clearer and quieter than it had been in years. Returning to the bench, she picked up the book again. A new page was waiting for her, though she was certain she hadn't turned it. The script was the same, but the words were different. Now that you are unburdened, follow the sound that is felt more than heard. Where the silver branches sing their endless, silent song, you will find the field of gentle listeners. The sound that is felt more than heard. She closed her eyes, shutting out the overwhelming beauty for a moment to focus on her other senses. She listened past the whispering of the stream, past the soft hum of the glowing flora, and then she felt it, a faint, high-frequency vibration in the air, in the ground. It was the chiming of the crystalline blossoms on the great silver tree above her. She had heard it before, but now she truly felt it, a resonant frequency that seemed to align with her own peaceful heartbeat. She stood and turned away from the stream, letting the subtle vibration guide her. She walked past clumps of flowers that looked like closed fists, their petals a deep, velvety blue, slowly unfurling as she passed and closing again once she was gone. She passed under archways of luminous vines, from which hung pods that glowed with a soft orange light, like sleeping embers. The chiming grew stronger, not in volume, but in its physical presence, a pleasant thrumming she could feel in the soles of her feet. The path she followed, guided by instinct and the chiming, opened into a wide circular clearing, and she gasped softly. The clearing was filled not with flowers, but with grass. But it was like no grass she had ever seen. The blades were long and slender, wider than normal grass, and they were the color of spun moonlight, a pale shimmering silver. They swayed in a breeze that she couldn't feel on her skin, a current of energy that moved only through them. And as they swayed, they sang. It wasn't a sound made by wind rustling through them. Each blade of grass seemed to produce its own unique, resonant note, a low, melodic hum. Together, the millions upon millions of blades created a vast, ever-shifting chord, a symphony of profound peace. It was the music of the garden's own breath. Scattered throughout the sea of singing grass were what looked like enormous dandelion puffs, but they were as tall as she was, their delicate, feathery seeds glowing with a soft white light. Every so often, a single seed would detach and drift slowly up into the air, a tiny, silent star ascending into the twilight canopy of the garden. The book had called them the gentle listeners. Elara stepped into the field, and the silvery grass brushed against her legs, the touch as soft as velvet. The humming sound enveloped her completely, the vibrations rising up through her, calming her nerves, soothing her thoughts until they were as slow and gentle as the drifting seeds. She found a spot in the center of the glade and sat down, sinking into the soft, thick grass. She lay back, her head pillowed on the surprisingly comfortable turf, and looked up. Above her, the luminous canopy of the garden pulsed with its soft, living light. The glowing seeds from the giant dandelions drifted lazily, creating a slow, upward river of light that mingled with the glowing leaves and flowers high above. The symphony of the grass was all around her, a sound that wasn't just heard with the ears, but felt with the whole body. It was a sound that spoke of growth, of patience, of the beauty of simply being. She felt her thoughts dissolve into the music, her sense of self expanding to become one with the glade. There was no past, no future, only this perfect, peaceful humming now. She didn't know how long she lay there, adrift on an ocean of sound and gentle light. It could have been minutes or an eon. When she finally sat up, she felt as if she had just woken from the most restful sleep of her life. She felt renewed, her mind spacious and serene. The book was still back on the bench, but she felt no need to rush back to it. She knew the garden would wait. Slowly, she made her way back through the glade, her movements unhurried, her heart full. As she approached the central clearing with the silver tree, she noticed a new fragrance in the air. It was sweet and deeply comforting, like the smell of night-blooming jasmine and warm honey. It was coming from a cluster of flowers she hadn't paid close attention to before. They grew near the base of one of the silver tree's glowing roots. The flowers themselves were shaped like bells, their petals a creamy white that seemed to drink in the surrounding light. She knelt beside them, drawn by the scent. She remembered something she had read in the book, or perhaps something the stream had whispered to her. A memory of a thought. The garden has much to share. As she looked at the bell-shaped flower, an image bloomed in her mind, as clear as day. It was a story, not in words, but in feelings and pictures. She saw the flower as a seed, sleeping deep in the warm, glowing earth. She felt its patient waiting, its slow, determined journey up toward the light. She experienced the triumphant, gentle moment of its first bloom, the unfurling of its petals to release its fragrance into the world for the very first time. She understood, without being told, that this flower's purpose was simply to offer its beautiful scent, a gift of sweetness to the quiet air. It asked for nothing in return. It was a perfect, simple expression of joy. A wave of tenderness washed over Elara. Every single thing here had its own life, its own story, its own quiet purpose. She reached out, not to touch the flower, but just to let her fingers hover near it. In response, the flower's glow brightened and its fragrance deepened for a moment, a silent thank you for being seen. Smiling, she returned to the stone bench. The book lay where she had left it, still open. As she sat down, her eyes fell upon the page, and again new words were there, as if the book knew what she had just experienced. You have listened to the grass and heard the story of the dream bell. You are learning the language of this place. It is a language of feeling, not of speaking. Now, if you are hungry, seek the vine that clings to the sleeping stones. It bears a fruit that tastes of happy memories. The sleeping stones. Elara looked around the central clearing. On the far side, partly hidden by the drooping fronds of a fern that wept tears of silver light, was a collection of large, smooth boulders. They were a deep gray, almost black, and covered in patches of the same glowing moss that grew by the bench. Their shapes were rounded and gentle, and they did indeed look like large, peaceful animals curled up in a deep slumber. Woven over and around them was a thick, woody vine with leaves the shape of dark green hearts. And nestled amongst the leaves were the fruits. They were small, no bigger than a wild strawberry, and were shaped like perfect five-pointed stars. They glowed with a soft, warm, golden light, a gentle pulse that was slow and steady like a sleeping breath. The air around the vine was filled with a faint, sweet aroma, different from the dream bells, more like baked apples and a hint of cinnamon. Her stomach gave a soft rumble, and she realized she was, in fact, a little hungry. Walking over to the sleeping stones, she felt a sense of reverence. She placed a hand on one of the large boulders. It was cool and smooth beneath her palm, and she could feel a very deep, very slow vibration coming from within it, the slumbering energy of the earth itself. Carefully, so as not to disturb the vine, she reached out and plucked one of the small glowing stars. It felt cool and smooth in her hand, its light pulsing gently against her skin. It felt solid, real. For a moment, she hesitated, but nothing in this garden had given her any reason to feel fear. It was a place of profound and gentle kindness. The book had guided her here, and she trusted it. She brought the starfruit to her lips and took a small bite. The flavor was indescribable. It was sweet, but not sugary. It tasted the way a sunbeam feels on your skin after a long winter. It tasted of honey and ripe peaches and the scent of rain on dry earth. But more than that, as the book had promised, it tasted of memories. With the flavor came a cascade of feelings, of forgotten moments of simple happiness. The feeling of being a small child, held securely in a loving embrace, listening to a familiar bedtime story. The pure joy of laughing so hard with a friend that her sides ached. The quiet contentment of watching a sunset paint the sky in impossible colors. Each bite was a different memory, a different flavor of happiness. It wasn't just food, it was nourishment for the soul. The warmth of the fruit spread from her tongue through her entire body, a golden glow of well-being that settled every fear, smoothed every worry. It filled her not with energy, but with a deep and abiding sense of peace. She ate the entire little star, and when she was done, she felt perfectly content, her hunger sated, her spirit calm. She sat down on one of the lower sleeping stones, leaning her back against the comforting solidity of a larger one. The slow, deep vibration from the stone was like a gentle massage, and the warm, golden feeling from the starfruit radiated through her. The air was still and fragrant. The singing grass hummed its eternal symphony in the distance. The stream whispered its ancient secrets. The silver tree chimed its ethereal, silent notes. Elara felt her eyelids grow heavy. It was not a feeling of exhaustion, but of deep, peaceful readiness for rest. The garden was alive around her, a breathing, singing, glowing cradle of tranquility. She thought of the book, wondering what other secrets it held, what other wonders it might guide her to. But she knew there was no hurry. The garden was patient. The book would wait. She laid her head back against the cool, mossy stone and looked up at the crystalline blossoms of the silver tree, watching them shimmer and sway in their secret breeze. They looked like a constellation of stars, a private sky just for her. Her breathing slowed, deepening to match the slow pulse of the light in the leaves above. She was safe. She was at peace. She was part of the dream. The book on the bench across the way seemed to call to her one last time, a final thought drifting into her mind as she hovered on the edge of sleep. The garden rests now. The light softens. The songs become lullabies. Rest with us. The dream is not over. It is only waiting for the quiet of your heart. Close your eyes and listen to the breathing of the ancient wood. And so she did. She closed her eyes and let the gentle sounds of the lullaby garden carry her away. The boundary between the waking world and the dreaming one blurred and then vanished completely. Her gentle breaths joined the soft chorus of the garden, a quiet harmony in the endless, peaceful song. The silvery light from the tree above dappled over her, a blanket of starlight, as she drifted into the deepest and most serene sleep she had ever known, held safely in the heart of the dreaming earth. The leather-bound book on the bench remained open, its creamy pages seeming to hold their breath, patiently waiting for her to wake and read the next gentle instruction, the next whispered secret, whenever she was ready. The drifting seeds from the giant dandelions continued their silent, slow ascent, each one a wish for a peaceful dream, rising into the luminous twilight air. The entire garden seemed to sigh contentedly, watching over its newest guest with an ancient, loving patience. The sensation was not one of falling, but of rising. She felt herself become as light as one of the dandelion seeds, a gentle, buoyant lifting from the cool moss of the stone. The weight of her body, the memory of her limbs, all of it dissolved into a soft, ambient awareness, a floating presence held within the larger consciousness of the garden. The silvery light of the crystalline blossoms above did not stay above her. It seeped into her, filling her with a cool, quiet luminescence, as if she herself were now a source of the garden's gentle glow. Her dream began not with a scene, but with a sound. It was the hum of the silver tree, a note so low and resonant that it was felt more than heard. A vibration that settled deep within her essence and soothed every last tremor of the waking world. It was the sound of ancient roots drinking from the deep, quiet earth, the sound of starlight being woven into solid form. Around this fundamental tone, other melodies began to weave themselves into existence. The rustle of the giant feathery leaves became a soft rhythmic sweeping, like the gentle brushing of 1,000 soft wings. The faint, bell-like chime of the crystalline blossoms touching in the secret breeze became clearer, each one a tiny, perfect note in a vast and patient wind chime. She drifted, formless and content, through this symphony of peace. She passed through the shimmering veils of light that hung in the air like curtains of watered silk, each one leaving a trail of sparkling motes that danced and faded behind her. There was no ground beneath her, no sky above, only the endless, gentle space of the garden's inner world. The dandelion seeds, those wishes for peaceful dreams, were her companions here. They floated alongside her, not rising to some unknown destination, but simply existing in their slow, graceful dance, their silvery tufts catching the ambient light and pulsing with a soft, milky whiteness. She felt a kinship with them, a shared purpose of quiet, peaceful travel through a world made of serenity. Slowly, a new sensation began to gather in her awareness. It was a sense of gentle, inexorable movement, a current in the tranquil air. She was being drawn, softly and without any resistance, towards a new sound that was layering itself into the garden's lullaby. It was the sound of flowing water, but it was unlike any water she had ever heard. It did not babble or rush, it chimed. It was a liquid melody, a river of flowing notes that promised a coolness and a clarity that was deeper even than the peace she had already sound. As she drew closer, the source of the sound came into view, coalescing out of the soft, luminous mist. It was a stream, wider than a river but gentler than a brook, and it was not made of water. It was a current of liquid light, a flowing ribbon of pure, condensed starlight, milky white and shot through with veins of soft silver and the faintest hints of lavender. It moved without a ripple, its surface perfectly smooth, like polished glass, yet it was undeniably in motion, flowing from an unseen source to an unseen destination. The chiming sound came from the banks of this river. Along the edges, where the light current lapped against the dream earth, grew beds of what looked like smooth gray river stones. But as the liquid light touched them, they would resonate, each stone singing a single, clear, resonant note, like a crystal glass being played by a celestial finger. The entire riverbank was a musical instrument, played by the river itself. She found herself hovering just above the bank, the cool, clean air rising from the river washing over her. The stones beneath her feet, or where her feet would be, were not solid, but yielded slightly, like firm, cool moss. The air smelled of clean rain and night-blooming flowers, a scent that seemed to wash the very memory of worry from her mind. There was no hesitation, no question of what to do. She simply allowed herself to settle, to dip into the current of light. The moment she touched the river, a profound tranquility washed through her. It was not cold, but cool, like the other side of a pillow. It did not feel wet, but rather like being enveloped in the smoothest, softest silk imaginable. The light of the river flowed around her and through her, and for a moment, she was no longer a separate being, but a part of the river, a single flowing note in its endless song. She felt the gentle, steady pull of its current and gave herself over to it completely, lying back and letting it carry her wherever it was going. She floated on her back, looking up at the dreamscape above. The shimmering leaves of the silver tree were still visible, but they were more distant now, a ceiling of constellations in a deep indigo sky. The crystalline blossoms twinkled and pulsed in time with the chiming of the river stones. The dandelion seeds still drifted high above, a slow, silent meteor shower of wishes. The river carried her onward, through groves of gently glowing fungi that pulsed with a soft rhythmic light, their colors shifting slowly from a warm peach to a cool blue and back again. The air was filled with their earthy, clean scent, and their light cast shifting, dreamy patterns on the underside of the broad, fern-like leaves that grew along the banks. Here and there, she saw creatures of the dream garden. They were shy and gentle beings made of woven light and living moss. Small deer-like animals with antlers of polished silver branch would come to the river's edge, dipping their muzzles into the light to drink, their forms becoming momentarily brighter and more translucent before they would turn and vanish silently back into the glowing woods. Lumina moths, their wings not of dust but of pure, soft light, fluttered in slow, lazy circles above the river's surface, their glow waxing and waning with each beat of their wings, leaving faint, fading trails of phosphorescence in the air. None of them paid her any mind, not out of ignorance, but out of a deep, peaceful acceptance. In the Lullaby Garden's dream, everything belonged. Everything was a part of the whole. The river's current was slow, a pace designed for observation and contemplation, not for travel. It meandered through vast open spaces where the ground was covered in a carpet of glowing moss that undulated with a soft inner light, creating slow, rolling waves of green and gold. It flowed through narrow passages where the banks rose high on either side, covered in hanging vines that dripped with dew-like pearls of light. Each pearl, as it fell and touched the surface of the river, would create not a splash, but a soft, resonant musical chord that would hang in the air for a moment before fading away. She was floating through a world that was constantly creating its own gentle, harmonious music. She felt a deep sense of timelessness. Hours, minutes, seconds, these were concepts for the waking world, for minds that measured and planned. Here, there was only the long, slow, continuous now. There was the feeling of the light current beneath her, the sound of the chiming stones, the sight of the pulsing fungi, the scent of the damp, clean dream earth. It was everything, and it was enough. The thought of the book, of the bench, of her own body resting under the silver tree was a distant, faint star, a truth that was real but not relevant at this moment. She knew, with a certainty that required no thought, that she was safe, that the dream and the garden were one and the same, and that both were holding her, protecting her, nurturing her. The river began to widen, slowing its pace even further, until it was almost still. It opened into a great circular lake, a vast placid mirror of liquid starlight. In the center of the lake stood an island, and on the island grew a grove of trees unlike any she had seen before. They were willows, but their branches were made of spun silver, and their leaves were thin, translucent slivers of what looked like mother of pearl. They drooped gracefully, their tips trailing into the still, luminous water of the lake. The light from the lake's surface reflected upwards, illuminating the underside of the leaves, making the entire grove shimmer with a soft opalescent radiance. The gentle current of the river guided her towards this island. As she drew closer, she realized that the air here was different. It was filled with a low, continuous whisper. It wasn't the sound of wind in the leaves, it was softer, more articulate, like the hushed murmur of 1,000 gentle voices all speaking at once. Yet it was not overwhelming. It was soothing, a blanket of sound that felt like a shared secret. Her journey ended as her feet touched the soft, mossy bank of the island. She stood, feeling a gentle, dreamlike substance to her form again, and looked into the grove. The whispering was clearer now. It seemed to be coming from the trees themselves. She walked slowly, her steps making no sound on the moss, and entered the shelter of the silver willows. The light beneath the canopy was soft and diffused, a pearlescent twilight. The whispering surrounded her, and she realized it was not language as she knew it. It was the sound of memories, Not her memories, but the memories of the garden itself. As she stood near one of the trees, running a hand over its impossibly smooth, cool bark, the whispers resolved into feelings and images. She felt the sensation of the first rain on new leaves, the slow, patient satisfaction of a root finding its way around a buried stone, the warmth of 1,000 sunrises, the cool peace of 1,000 moonsets. She felt the slow, geological time of the earth itself, the patient turning of the seasons over millennia, all condensed into a single, gentle, understandable murmur. She walked deeper into the grove, to its very heart. Here, the willow branches hung so low they created a circular, enclosed space, like a living room with walls of shimmering leaves. In the very center of this space, floating just a few inches above the moss, was a single, perfect sphere of light. It was about the size of her cupped hands, and it glowed with a warm, golden light that was different from the cold silvers and blues of the rest of the dreamscape. It pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm like a sleeping heart. This, she understood without words, was the heart of the dream, the focal point of the garden's deep and endless peace. The whispers of the willows were the memories and stories, but this sphere was the feeling itself, the pure, undiluted essence of tranquility. She felt no urge to touch it, only to be near it. She sat down on the soft moss, her back against the trunk of the central willow, and simply watched it. As she watched the sphere pulse, its golden light seemed to seep into the air, to warm the pearlescent glow of the willows. The light carried with it a feeling of profound contentment, of a peace that was not empty, but full. It was the peace of a job well done, of a harvest gathered, of a long journey completed. It was the feeling of home. The whispering of the trees softened, coalescing into a single harmonious hum that seemed to sync with the pulsing of the golden light. The chiming of the distant river, the sweeping of the feathery leaves, all the sounds of the garden seemed to fade into the background, leaving only this deep, warm, golden hum. She felt her own breathing, which she hadn't been aware of in the dream until now, slow down to match the rhythm of the light. With every inhale, she drew in its warmth and its peace. With every exhale, she released the last, tiniest, forgotten remnants of tension she might have been holding. She felt herself becoming part of this central peace, a quiet participant in the garden's deepest state of rest. The distinction between her and the garden, which had been blurring all along, now seemed to vanish completely. Her peace was the garden's peace. Its dream was her dream. She did not know how long she sat there, held in the heart of the willow grove. Time had no meaning. There was only the gentle pulse of the light, the soft hum of the ancient trees, and the feeling of absolute, unshakable safety. She was a seed, resting in the deepest, richest soil, waiting patiently not to sprout, but simply to be, to rest, to gather strength from the quiet, dreaming earth. Slowly, gently, a new layer of awareness began to return. It was the subtle feeling of the cool, mossy stone of the waking world, a faint pressure against her back and head. It was not a call to wake, but simply a reminder of the anchor that held her to her physical self. The golden light of the sphere did not vanish, but it seemed to recede, to become a warm ember glowing deep within her own heart. The whispering of the willows faded back into the gentle rustle of leaves. The current of the dream began to shift. She felt a soft, gentle pull, not backwards along the river of light, but upwards, a slow, buoyant ascent. She left the island and its grove of memories behind, not as a departure, but as a promise of return. She floated up, through the canopy of mother-of-pearl leaves, and saw the great, tranquil lake of starlight spread out below her, a perfect, shimmering circle in the heart of the dreamwoods. She rose higher, drifting back through the layers of the dream she had explored. She saw the glowing fungi pulsing in their silent rhythm, the silver-antlered deer drinking from a bend in the river, the lumina moths dancing in their slow, hypnotic patterns. They were all part of this vast, interconnected piece, each playing their part in the garden's eternal lullaby. The river of light was a glowing ribbon winding through the landscape, its chiming notes growing softer and more distant as she ascended. She was rising back towards the constellation canopy of the silver tree, the crystalline blossoms winking and shimmering like familiar stars. The dandelion seeds floated with her, their journey matching hers, a slow, graceful return. The air grew cooler again, filled with the scent of the silver tree's blossoms, a clean, sweet fragrance, like night air after a rain. The deep, resonant hum of the tree's trunk grew stronger, the fundamental note of the garden's song reasserting itself, a steadying, grounding vibration. Her awareness of her own body grew stronger, but it was a pleasant, comforting sensation. She could feel the gentle rise and fall of her own chest, a rhythm that was now perfectly in sync with the pulsing light of the leaves above. The boundary between the dream and the waking garden was not a wall to be broken through, but a soft, permeable membrane, and she was drifting through it as easily as a breath. The details of the dream did not shatter or fade away as dreams often do upon waking. Instead, they condensed, they settled. The feeling of the liquid light river became a sense of deep, flowing peace within her veins. The whispers of the willow grove became a quiet, intuitive understanding, a feeling of ancient, patient wisdom settled in her mind. The warmth of the golden sphere at the heart of the island remained, a small, steady ember of perfect contentment glowing in her core. She was bringing the gifts of the dream back with her. She was not waking up, not yet. She was hovering in that beautiful, liminal space between dream and sleep, a state of profound rest where the body is still and the mind is calm, but awareness is soft and gentle. She was aware of the silvery light dappling her closed eyelids, of the soft, secret breeze stirring a strand of her hair, of the immense, breathing silence of the garden around her. The book on the bench still waited, its pages filled with secrets yet to be discovered. But the urgency to know them was gone, replaced by a deep, abiding patience. The garden had already shared its most important secret, the secret of true, untroubled rest. And so she rested, a cherished guest in a place outside of time. The dream did not end, it simply integrated itself into her being, becoming a part of her. The river of light still flowed in the quietest parts of her mind. The willow trees still whispered their ancient secrets to her soul. The garden held her in its waking reality and in its dreaming soul, and the two were intertwined, inseparable. Her breath was a quiet rhythm in the garden's endless song, a testament to the peace that could be found when one simply stopped and listened and allowed oneself to be held by the gentle, dreaming earth. The night was deep and soft, and sleep was a safe and welcoming harbor, a quiet bay where the waters were always calm and the stars were always reflected perfectly on the surface. The garden watched over her, its ancient, loving patience a silent promise that this peace was hers to keep, a quiet melody she could carry in her heart long after she had left this tranquil place. But for now, there was no thought of leaving. There was only the deep, serene, and endless moment of rest. In this deep and endless moment, time itself became something different. It was no longer a river rushing towards a sea, but a vast, still lake, and she was floating weightlessly in its center. The moment was not static. It breathed. It expanded and contracted with the slow, silent pulse of the garden's heart. Her own awareness, untethered from the usual anchors of thought and sensation, began to drift and expand with it. She felt herself becoming porous, her sense of self softening at the edges, beginning to merge with the living peace that surrounded her. It began with the bench beneath her. She did not just feel the smooth, weathered wood against her skin. She felt the deep, slow life within the wood itself. The memory of its years as a tree, its roots deep in the dark, rich earth, its leaves reaching for a sun that had set 1,000 times. Her awareness trickled downwards, following those phantom roots into the soil. She could feel the cool, damp earth, the intricate network of life unseen, the patient and tireless work of roots drawing sustenance, the silent, slow-motion ballet of growth and decay that was the garden's true rhythm. She was not just in the garden, she was, in some small, wondrous way, becoming the garden. Her breath, soft and even, was the faint stirring of the air that made the ferns tremble. The slow, steady beat of her heart was the low, resonant hum of the earth itself. The whispers of the willow trees, once a general, soothing murmur, began to resolve themselves into something more. They were not words, not in any language she knew, but rather pure, imparted understanding. One ancient willow, its branches like long silver-green hair trailing to the ground, shared with her the secret of yielding. It showed her images, feelings of how it bent in the strongest winds, not breaking but flowing with the force, its flexibility its greatest strength. Her awareness trickled downwards, following those phantom roots into the soil. She could feel the cool, damp earth, the intricate network of life unseen, the patient and tireless work of roots drawing sustenance, the silent, slow-motion ballet of growth and decay that was the garden's true rhythm. She was not just in the garden, she was, in some small, wondrous way, becoming the garden. Her breath, soft and even, was the faint stirring of the air that made the ferns tremble. The slow, steady beat of her heart was the low, resonant hum of the earth itself. The whispers of the willow trees, once a general, soothing murmur, began to resolve themselves into something more. They were not words, not in any language she knew, but rather pure, imparted understanding. One ancient willow, its branches like long silver-green hair trailing to the ground, shared with her the secret of yielding. It showed her images, feelings of how it bent in the strongest winds, not breaking but flowing with the force, its flexibility its greatest strength. It whispered of letting go, showing her the effortless release of its leaves in autumn, a gentle surrender that was not an ending, but a necessary and beautiful part of a cycle, a promise of renewal. The wisdom flowed into her not as a lesson to be learned, but as a truth to be remembered, a knowing that settled deep within her bones, that in softness there is resilience, and in surrender there is peace. Another willow, its trunk gnarled and thick with age, shared the secret of deep listening. It taught her how to feel the subtle shifts in the moonlight, how to hear the quiet thirst of the smaller plants at its base, how to know the coming of the dawn hours before the first hint of light touched the sky. This was a listening that went beyond the ears, a perception that was woven into the very fabric of being. She felt her own awareness stretch, becoming finer and more sensitive, until she too could feel the dew beginning to gather, molecule by molecule, on the tip of a single blade of grass nearby. She could feel the slow, majestic turning of the planet, a silent, cosmic lullaby that had rocked the garden to sleep for millennia. Her consciousness, now as fluid and gentle as a slow-moving stream, was drawn to the river of light that she had sensed before. It flowed not on the ground, but through the very air, a current of liquid starlight and condensed peace. She allowed herself to drift into it, a single leaf carried on its gentle tide. The light was not bright, but soft and pearlescent, cool to the touch of her dreaming mind. As she floated along, she saw that the river was made of countless tiny motes, each one a minuscule spark of pure, positive energy. Some were the remnants of happy dreams left behind by other peaceful sleepers. Some were the captured essence of a flower's fragrance, as it bloomed only for the moon. Others were crystallized moments of perfect silence, gathered from the quietest corners of the garden. The river flowed through everything, ignoring the solid boundaries of the physical world. It passed through the trunk of a great oak, and for a moment she was inside the tree, feeling the slow, viscous journey of sap rising through ancient channels, a life force moving with unimaginable patience. It flowed through a large, smooth stone, still warm from the departed sun, and she felt the stone's deep geological memory, the eons of pressure and heat that had formed it, the centuries of rain and wind that had smoothed it into its current shape. The stone knew a stillness so profound, it made her own deep rest feel fleeting by comparison, and it shared that stillness with her freely. The river cleansed everything it touched, not by scrubbing, but by suffusing. It washed away the dust of a hurried day, the lingering echoes of anxious thoughts, the subtle tensions held in muscles she didn't even know were tight. It left behind only a quiet, luminous calm. The current of light carried her onward, toward a part of the garden she had not yet seen. The air grew cooler, and the light of the river was met by a soft, emerald luminescence from the ground. She had drifted into a grove of ancient, moss-covered trees, whose branches were so densely woven they formed a living cathedral. The ground here was not soil, but a thick, unbroken carpet of luminous moss. It pulsed with a gentle, rhythmic light, a soft, slow beat like a sleeping heart. The light was the color of new spring leaves and deep-sea jade, and it cast no sharp shadows, only soft, rounded shapes and a feeling of profound tranquility. She drifted down from the river of light, her awareness settling onto the mossy floor. The moss felt like the finest velvet, cool and alive beneath her spectral touch. The humming she had felt in the earth was stronger here, a deep, resonant thrum that seemed to be the source of the light. It was the sound of growth, the sound of life at its most serene. She lay there, enveloped in the green-gold glow, and felt the vibration seep into her, loosening the last, deepest knots of forgotten worries. The hum was a mantra without words, a frequency of pure peace that aligned her own energy with the garden's slow, eternal rhythm. Slowly, she became aware of movement. Tiny, spiraled shells, no bigger than her thumbnail, moved with painstaking slowness across the glowing moss. They were snails, but unlike any she had ever seen. Their shells were made of what looked like polished moonstone, and as they moved, they left behind a faint, shimmering trail of silvery light that faded after a moment, like a passing thought. They were the garden's quietest keepers, the tenders of its deepest peace. She watched them for what felt like a lifetime, her sense of time completely dissolved. Their deliberate, unhurried pace was a lesson in itself. There was no goal, no destination, only the gentle, mindful process of moving through a beautiful, glowing world. She felt no impatience, no desire for them to move faster. Their slowness was a gift, an invitation to exist fully in the present, to appreciate the beauty of a single drawn-out moment. The air in the mossy grove was thick with the scent of damp earth, of deep, clean soil, and a faint, sweet smell like night-blooming jasmine, though there were no flowers to be seen. The light of the moss seemed to nourish the very air, making it feel rich and life-giving. She breathed it in, and the green-gold light seemed to fill her lungs, her mind, her entire being, until she felt as though she too were glowing softly from within. This was a place of healing, a sanctuary within a sanctuary, where the only thing to do was be still and breathe and watch the slow, silent dance of moonlight snails on a carpet of living light. From the deep, verdant peace of the moss grove, her awareness began to drift again, rising like a mist in the cool night air. The gentle humming faded behind her, replaced by a new sound, a faint, crystalline music that was high and delicate, like the ghost of wind chimes. She followed the sound, floating over low, rolling hills of soft grass until she came to a wide, open meadow bathed in the full, unobscured light of the moon and stars. At first, she thought the ground was covered in fallen stars, for it was sprinkled with thousands of tiny, shimmering points of light. But as she drew closer, she saw they were flowers. The entire meadow was filled with flowers whose petals were not made of plant tissue, but of something that looked like spun moonlight. They were star-petaled flowers, and each one was a perfect six-pointed star, open to the night sky. They did not have color in the way daytime flowers did. Instead, they captured and refracted the starlight, shimmering with all the cold, distant fire of the cosmos. Some glowed with the blue-white light of a distant nebula, others with the pale gold of a familiar planet. The delicate music she had heard was coming from them. When a particular star or constellation shone upon them, the flowers would resonate, their crystalline petals vibrating to create a single, pure high note. With the entire sky filled with stars, the meadow was never silent. It was playing the symphony of the heavens. It was a slow, ever-changing melody of incredible complexity and yet perfect harmony. The music was not meant to be listened to with the ears, but with the soul. It spoke of vastness, of immense, silent spaces, of the slow, graceful turning of galaxies. It was a song that put all small, earthly concerns into perspective, a reminder of the infinite and eternal dance of which she was a tiny, precious part. She drifted among the starflowers, close enough to see the intricate patterns of cosmic dust reflected in a single petal. The air here was thin and cool, and it smelled of clean stone and a faint, elusive sweetness, like ice wine or frozen nectar. There were no insects here, no bees or butterflies. The flowers were pollinated by starlight itself, by the patient, gentle shower of photons that had traveled for millions of years to reach this one secret meadow. To be here was to feel the immense age and the immense scale of the universe, not as a frightening or overwhelming concept, but as a comforting, majestic blanket. The song of the stars, played by the meadow, was the universe's own bedtime story, its own lullaby, and it filled her with a sense of profound awe and perfect belonging. She felt the slow, celestial rhythm of the music align with her own breathing, her own heartbeat, until she felt no separation between herself and the star-filled meadow, between the meadow and the night sky above. She was a note in the symphony, a flicker of light in the grand cosmic display. The feeling was one of utter completeness, a peace that was not just about the absence of trouble, but the presence of a deep and resonant connection to everything. She rested there, suspended in light and sound, for an eon or a moment, held safely in the heart of the garden's celestial song. As the last lingering notes of the Star Meadow Symphony dissolved into the quiet fabric of her mind, she felt a gentle, persistent pull, a current in the river of peace that was guiding her towards one final discovery. Her awareness drifted from the open expanse of the meadow and followed a barely bare path, marked not by stones or cleared earth, but by a subtle deepening of the silence. The air grew stiller, the faint night breezes ceased to stir, and even the chirping of the most distant crickets seemed to respect the sanctity of this place. The path led her to a small, hidden clearing, perfectly circular, surrounded by a ring of ancient, silver-barked birch trees. In the very center of the clearing lay a pool. It was not a pool of water. The surface was as black and smooth as polished obsidian, and it did not reflect the stars or the moon or the surrounding trees. It seemed to absorb all light, all image, all sound, leaving only a perfect, profound emptiness. This was the pool of quiet reflection, but it did not reflect the world outside. It reflected the world within. She hovered at its edge, her ethereal form bathed in the soft, silvery light of the birch trees. There was no fear, only a deep sense of reverence. The pool was an invitation. It offered a release that was even deeper than the rest she had already found. Hesitantly, a thought surfaced in her mind, a fleeting, leftover fragment from her waking day, a wisp of a to-do list, a shadow of a concern. It was so small she hadn't even noticed it was still there. As the thought formed, she saw a faint, milky ripple disturb the pool's perfect surface. The thought was gently drawn from her mind, pulled like a thread of smoke towards the pool. It touched the black surface and instantly dissolved, not with a splash, but with a silent pulse of soft white light that expanded and then vanished, leaving the surface once again perfectly still, perfectly black. A feeling of incredible lightness bloomed within her. She had not realized that tiny thought had been a weight, however small. She watched, fascinated, as another thought emerged, a memory, tinged with a faint echo of nostalgia. It too was drawn to the pool. It floated down, touched the surface, and dissolved into a gentle silver ripple, its emotional echo neutralized, its form returned to pure, peaceful energy. The pool was not destroying the thoughts, it was unmaking them, returning them to their elemental state of quiet. It was a place of mental alchemy, turning the lead of a busy mind into the gold of pure being. She understood now. This was the garden's deepest secret, the very heart of its gift of untroubled rest. It was a place to become empty, not in a lonely or desolate way, but in a way that was clean, pure, and full of potential. It was the quiet that exists before the first note of a song, the stillness of the canvas before the first brushstroke. She let go. She allowed all the remaining fragments of thought, of memory, of identity to rise to the surface of her consciousness. One by one, they were drawn to the pool. A half-formed idea, a lingering question, the echo of a conversation, the face of a loved one held in her mind's eye, all of it was offered to the pool's gentle, silent gravity. Each one dissolved without a trace, leaving her lighter, clearer, more present than she had ever been before. Finally, there was nothing left. Her mind was as still and as clear as the pool itself. There was no she who was thinking, no I who was experiencing. There was only the experience itself. The circle of silver birches, the cool, silent air, the perfect black mirror of the pool, and a state of awareness so pure and untroubled that it was indistinguishable from the peace of the garden itself. She had become the stillness. She was the quiet reflection in the pool. In this profound and loving emptiness, she found the ultimate rest, a state of being that was not the absence of anything, but the presence of everything, held in perfect, silent harmony. The moment stretched, timeless and serene. There was no need to move, no desire to leave this state of perfect equilibrium. But the garden, in its infinite wisdom, knew that peace was not a destination to be arrived at, but a state to be carried. Gently, so gently it was almost imperceptible, a sense of self began to reform, not as it was before, but as something new, cleansed and renewed by the pool's silent grace. The moment stretched, timeless and serene. There was no need to move, no desire to leave this state of perfect equilibrium. But the garden, in its infinite wisdom, knew that peace was not a destination to be arrived at, but a state to be carried. Gently, so gently it was almost imperceptible, a sense of self began to reform, not as it was before, but as something new, cleansed and renewed by the pool's silent grace. The moment stretched, timeless and serene. There was no need to move, no desire to leave this state of perfect equilibrium. But the garden, in its infinite wisdom, knew that peace was not a destination to be arrived at, but a state to be carried. Gently, so gently it was almost imperceptible, a sense of self began to reform, not as it was before, but as something new, cleansed and renewed by the pool's silent grace. Her awareness began to recede from the clearing of the silver birches, carrying the profound stillness of the pool within it. It drifted back through the star-petaled meadow, and the celestial music no longer felt external, but like a gentle, harmonious hum resonating in her very soul. She floated back over the luminous moss grove, and its deep, healing vibration was now her own steady heartbeat, a rhythm of profound calm. She passed through the memory of the ancient oak and the patient stone, their deep, abiding strength now a part of her own foundation. She felt the wisdom of the yielding willows woven into her spirit, a newfound flexibility and a capacity for deep listening. Slowly, her expanded consciousness began to coalesce, to gather itself back towards the single point of her physical form, resting on the bench. It was not a sudden snapping back into place, but a gentle, graceful inhalation, drawing all the wonders of the garden back with her. She brought the silence of the pool, the music of the stars, the light of the moss, the wisdom of the trees. These were not just memories of a dream. They were now integral parts of her being, treasures integrated into the very fiber of her soul. She became aware again of her body, but it felt different. It was profoundly, deeply at rest, every muscle, every cell saturated with the peace she had gathered on her journey. She could feel the soft, secret breeze on her cheek, but now she also knew it as the garden's own breath. She could feel the silvery moonlight on her eyelids, but now she also knew it as the touch of the cosmos, the same light that made the starflowers sing. She was back where she had started, on the bench, with the book of secrets resting nearby, but she was fundamentally changed. The garden was no longer just a place she was visiting. It was a place that now lived within her. Her breath continued its slow, even rhythm, a quiet anchor in a sea of tranquility. The golden sphere of contentment at her core glowed a little brighter, a little warmer, fed by the deep peace she had found. Sleep was no longer just a state of unconsciousness, but a living, breathing space, a continuation of this gentle, magical journey. The night was a vast, soft blanket, woven from starlight and silence, and it held her securely. There was no boundary now between the dreaming and the dreamer, between the garden and its cherished guest. There was only this continuous, unfolding moment of perfect, untroubled, and deeply nourishing rest, a peace that echoed outward from her quiet heart, touching everything in the silent, sleeping world. The journey through the garden had not ended. It had simply spiraled deeper, into the very heart of stillness, into a sleep so peaceful it was a form of prayer, a silent communion with the gentle, dreaming earth. And the night was still young, holding the promise of even deeper wonders, of more secrets to be shared in the soft, unfolding hours before the dawn. The air that she breathed was no longer just air. It was the garden's own exhalation, scented with the cool, clean fragrance of ancient stone, the damp, rich perfume of the deep earth, and the faint, sweet ghost of a flower that bloomed only in the deepest part of the night. Each inhalation was a gift from the sleeping world, a draught of pure tranquility that traveled deep into her lungs, carrying with it the quiet of the moss and the patience of the roots. Each exhalation was a release, a soft sigh that gave back to the night any lingering trace of the day, any whisper of a worry, any echo of a hurried thought. It was a gentle, seamless exchange, a slow and silent conversation between her own quiet life and the vast, living peace of the garden. The golden sphere of contentment at her core, that radiant sun of inner peace, began to pulse with a slow, steady, and profoundly gentle rhythm, like a second heart beating in time with the slow, deep music of the cosmos. With every soft pulse, a wave of liquid gold warmth spread outwards, a silent, beautiful tide of utter relaxation. She felt it flow from her center, down through her hips, a warm, heavy honey that filled her legs, loosening every fiber, every muscle, every sinew. The warmth pooled in her knees, then trickled down through her calves, down through her ankles, a gentle golden river, carrying away any memory of walking, of standing, of striving. It filled her feet, spreading into every small bone, every tiny vessel, until it reached the very tips of her toes, leaving them heavy, warm, and utterly, completely at rest. She felt her feet anchored, not by weight, but by a deep, comforting connection to the ground beneath, as if tiny, invisible roots of peace were growing from them, holding her safely, securely to the gentle earth. Then, another slow, soft pulse from the golden sphere. This time, the warm, liquid light flowed upwards. It spilled into her abdomen, a soft, warm pool that dissolved any knot of tension, any flicker of unease. It rose further, filling her chest, surrounding her heart in a cushion of pure, unconditional calm. Her heart, feeling this safe embrace, let go of its hurried daytime rhythm and settled into a slower, deeper, more contented beat. Thump, thump, a steady, reassuring drumbeat in the great, quiet cathedral of the night. The warmth continued to spread, flowing across her collarbones and pouring down into her shoulders, melting away the invisible burdens they had carried for so long. The release was so profound, it was almost a sound, a low, soft hum of relief that vibrated through her. The golden tide of warmth continued its unhurried journey. It flowed down her arms, making them feel wonderfully heavy, wonderfully still. It seeped into her elbows, her wrists, her hands, which lay loosely in her lap. The warmth swirled in her palms and then extended, with infinite gentleness, into each of her fingers, right to the very tips. Her hands, which had held and worked and written and reached, were now simply at peace, holding nothing but the feeling of this deep, golden calm. They felt as if they were carved from warm, smooth wood, a part of the resting bench, a part of the sleeping garden. Another pulse, slow and sure. The golden light now rose up her neck, a warm column of comfort, releasing the muscles that held her head, allowing it to rest with a sense of perfect balance and ease. The warmth flowed up into her jaw, and she felt it soften, the space between her teeth parting ever so slightly in a sigh of release. The warmth soothed her cheeks, the delicate muscles around her eyes, the broad, smooth plane of her forehead. It felt as if a gentle, warm hand was stroking her brow, smoothing away the lines of every thought, every plan, every memory, until only a perfect, serene stillness remained. The space between her eyebrows, a place where worry so often gathers, became soft, open, and clear. And finally, the golden light flowed over the crown of her head, a gentle, warm benediction, a silent blessing of peace. Now, her entire body was a vessel of this warm, liquid gold, heavy and light all at once. Heavy with the weight of deep, profound relaxation, and light with the freedom of complete release. She was floating and anchored, present and distant, a paradox held in perfect, peaceful equilibrium. The boundary of her skin seemed to shimmer and dissolve, not into nothingness, but into everything. She could no longer tell where her own quiet warmth ended and the cool, soft air of the garden began. They were one and the same. As the golden warmth saturated her being, the gifts of the garden began to sing within her in a new and deeper way. The gentle lapping of the pool of memories was no longer a sound she heard, but a rhythm she felt in the slow, peaceful flow of her own blood. It was a current of acceptance, washing through her with the quiet understanding that every moment, every experience, had led her to this perfect peace, and all was well. There was no need to revisit or reclaim. All was simply a part of this calm, flowing river. The silent, shimmering music of the stars, the celestial harmony she had witnessed, now resonated with the very marrow of her bones. It was a subtle, deep vibration, a humming stillness that aligned her with the vast, slow turning of the galaxy. It was the sound of forever, the sound of deep time, and it put all small, fleeting concerns into their proper tiny perspective. She was a part of that vast, silent song, a single, quiet note in a chorus of infinite peace. The soft, green, life-giving light of the phosphorescent moss now glowed gently behind her closed eyelids. It was not a bright light, but a restful, self-sustaining luminescence, the kind of light that belongs to the deep, secret places of the earth. It was the glow of life at rest, of energy being gathered, of quiet, miraculous renewal. It illuminated her inner world with a sense of gentle well-being, a promise that even in the deepest darkness, there is a soft and living light. And the wisdom of the ancient trees, their deep-rooted stillness, became her own. She felt a profound sense of being supported, as if she were a sapling growing under the protection of a vast, ancient forest. The world could spin, the winds could blow in some distant land, but here, in this garden, in this moment, she was held by a strength that had weathered 1,000 seasons. Her breath, slow and even, became the breath of the trees, a silent exchange of life with the sleeping world. A process so natural and so effortless it required no thought at all. It just was. And it was peace. A soft, almost imperceptible whisper of movement drew her awareness. Beside her, on the bench, the book of secrets stirred. She did not open her eyes, but she could sense it, feel it. The heavy cover lifted, not with a crackle of old binding, but with the silent grace of a moth's wing. It fell open, not to a specific page, but to its very heart. And from its open pages, no words appeared. There were no intricate diagrams, no cryptic verses. Instead, a soft, silvery light poured out, the captured essence of moonlight, the distilled silence of the garden. The light did not shine upon her, it merged with her. It flowed into the golden warmth that already filled her, adding a silver, shimmering quality to her inner peace. And in that silent, wordless illumination, the final secret of the garden was revealed. It was a secret not to be read, but to be felt, to be known, to become. The secret was that stillness is not an absence of motion, but the source of all motion. That silence is not an absence of sound, but the cradle of all sound. That the deepest rest is not a forgetting of life, but a remembering of what it truly is to be alive, connected to the slow, deep, powerful pulse of the universe. The secret was that she did not need to seek peace, for she was peace. The garden was not a place she had to find, for the garden was already within her. The book held no knowledge she did not already possess in the quiet chambers of her own heart. And with this final, silent, beautiful understanding, the last delicate thread connecting her to the idea of a separate self, a visitor on a bench, a dreamer in a garden, simply dissolved. It let go without a snap, fading away like a trail of mist in the morning sun. There was no longer a she who was feeling peace. There was only peace. There was the feeling of the cool, smooth stone of the bench, a solid, grounding presence. There was the feeling of the soft, secret breeze, the garden's breath, on skin that was no longer just her skin, but a part of the night's surface. There was the silvery touch of the moonlight, a gentle, calming weight, like the softest blanket woven from starlight itself. The awareness of her own breath faded, replaced by an awareness of the great, slow respiration of the entire sleeping world, the rise and fall of the quiet earth, the subtle, silent drawing in of the cool night air, and the long, slow, sighing release. She was a part of this breath, a part of this rhythm. The golden sphere at her core did not vanish. It simply expanded, infinitely and gently, until it had no boundary at all. Its warmth was now the warmth of the deep earth, a constant, nurturing presence. Its light was the light of the distant, sleeping stars, a silent, watchful glow. The journey had spiraled so deep now that there was no more path to follow, no more sights to see. It had spiraled into the very center of stillness. The mind, that busy weaver of thoughts and stories, had finally laid down its loom. Its threads were still, its shuttle at rest. The great, quiet tapestry of the night was complete. There was only this deep, profound, and untroubled state of being. Sinking now, not falling, but sinking. As a pebble sinks through clear, still water, leaving no ripple behind. Sinking through layers of quiet. Through the quiet of the garden, deeper. Through the quiet of the night, deeper still. Through the quiet of the turning earth, and deeper. Into the vast, soft, velvet darkness of true and utter rest. A place before dreams, a place before thought, a place of pure renewal. A silent, holy space where the soul is mended, where the spirit is nourished, where the body is healed. The garden watched over this deep and peaceful sleep. The starflowers hummed their softest, most secret lullaby. The ancient trees stood as silent, patient guardians. The moonlight laid a protective, shimmering veil over the bench. And the night itself, vast and deep and full of silent wonder, held all in its gentle, loving, and infinite embrace. There was no need to wake, not for a long, long time. There was only this continuous, unfolding moment of perfect, untroubled, and deeply nourishing rest. A peace that echoed outward from this quiet center, touching everything in the silent, sleeping world. A sleep so profound, so complete, it was a form of silent communion with the gentle, dreaming heart of the universe. And so, in the heart of the secret garden, held safely in the stillness of the night, you can let go now. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to think, nothing left to be, except perfectly, peacefully at rest. Drifting now, floating, safe, held, at peace. Sleep now, sleep deep, sleep well. And with that last thought, the gate to the waking world softly closes, its latch clicking into place with a sound no louder than a falling petal. You are on the other side now. You are in the deep country of sleep, a land of profound and gentle stillness. The breath, that quietest of rivers, flows on, unimpeded. A soft, slow tide, rising and falling in a rhythm that has belonged to the universe since time began. With every inhale, a wave of liquid peace, cool and shimmering like moonlight on water, washes through you. It carries with it the scent of the starflowers, the sweet, clean fragrance of the night air, the deep, earthy peace of the ancient soil. It is the breath of the garden itself, and it breathes through you now. And with every exhale, a soft gray mist of all that is finished and done drifts away from you. The last embers of the day's concerns, the faint echoes of conversations, the heavy cloak of responsibilities, all dissolve into the vast, accepting dark. They become less than memories, less than smoke. They are simply gone, replaced by a purity of being, a simple, unburdened presence. The tide goes out, and it takes with it all that you no longer need to carry, leaving the shores of your being smooth and clear and clean. Imagine, if you will, that the moonlight is more than light. It is a liquid balm, a silent silver medicine for the soul. It spills over the edge of the moon and flows down through the quiet air, pooling in the heart of the garden. And here, where you rest, it touches you with an intelligent and loving grace. It traces the lines of your form, not as a blanket, but as a tender hand, smoothing away the unseen tensions held deep within. It seeps gently through skin and bone, finding the tired places, the weary corners of your physical being, and it fills them with a cool, soothing luminescence. It is the light of perfect calm, and it illuminates you from within, mending and restoring on a level far deeper than the thinking mind can comprehend. It weaves a tapestry of tranquility, and you are resting at its very center. And the humming of the starflowers, it is the sound of starlight itself, made audible in this magical place. It is not a melody you can hear with your ears, but one you feel in the very marrow of your bones. A gentle vibration, a resonance so fine and pure that it bypasses thought and speaks directly to the core of you. It is a frequency of deep, unwavering peace. This soft, celestial hum works its way through every cell, every fiber, gently shaking loose the last vestiges of disharmony. It is a lullaby sung by distant suns and ancient galaxies, a song of cosmic order and immense, unhurried time. It sings that all is well, all has always been well, all will always be well. And your own small, perfect rhythm attunes to this great cosmic song, becoming one with its serene and steady pulse. The ancient trees, they do not sleep, but hold a different kind of wakefulness. A deep, rooted, patient consciousness. They stand as sentinels at the edge of your rest. Their roots, like long, slow thoughts, travel deep into the cool, quiet earth, drawing up a profound stillness, a strength that is both immovable and gentle. They offer this stability to you now. You can feel it rising from the ground beneath, a sense of being utterly grounded, anchored safely to the heart of the world. And their branches, like 1,000 patient arms, reach up into the velvet sky, communing with the stars. They hold the space between the deep earth and the endless cosmos, and in that sacred, protected space, you are held. You are sheltered by their ancient wisdom, their silent, unwavering presence. They have watched over 1,000 years of nights, and tonight, they watch over you. And so, the edges of you begin to soften. The clear, hard line that separates you from the world around you begins to dissolve just for this time of deep rest. It is like a watercolor painting left in a gentle, misty rain. The lines blur, the colors merge into a beautiful, harmonious whole. Your breath is the soft breeze that stirs the leaves of the great trees. Your stillness is the stillness of the ancient, moss-covered stone bench. The gentle warmth of your resting body is the warmth held in the earth from the long-gone sun. The light that fills your sleeping mind is the soft silver light of the moon. You are not simply in the garden anymore, you are of the garden. You are a part of its deep and dreaming consciousness. There is no separation, there is only a single, unified field of perfect, profound peace. And the garden itself, This sacred, secret place is but a single, perfect lily pad floating on the great, dark ocean of the night. An ocean of infinite stillness, stretching out in all directions, beyond all measure. And you, at its heart, are floating with it, drifting on this boundless, silent sea of tranquility. The little boat of your being is carried on a current of absolute peace, guided not toward any destination, but simply carried through a state of pure renewal. There is no effort in this floating, no need to steer or to row. The current knows the way. The tide of the universe itself is carrying you through the deepest, most restorative phases of sleep. It is a journey into the very wellspring of life, the silent, dark, and fertile source from which all things arise. A place before dreams are woven, before thoughts take form. If dreams should come, they will be born of this peace. They will be woven from moonlight and the scent of starflowers. They will be dreams of gentle flight, of floating through starry nebulae, of listening to the quiet wisdom of the earth. They will be healing dreams, dreams that wash the soul clean, that bring gentle answers to questions you have not yet thought to ask. But for now, there is only this deepening, this softening, this release. Floating further and further from the shore of the waking world. The quiet becomes deeper, the stillness more complete, the peace more profound. You are held in the heart of the night. You are cradled in the arms of the universe. You are safe. You are whole. You are deeply, deeply at rest. Let the final thread of awareness dissolve now, like a grain of salt in the vast warm ocean. Let it all go. There is nothing more required of you, nothing at all, only to rest, only to sleep, drifting, floating, sinking softly into the deepest, most nourishing peace. Held, safe, whole, sleep now, sleep deep. And now there is only the quiet, only the peace, only sleep. And so the journey continues, not outward, but inward, deeper. The sinking is not a fall, but a surrender, a release into a medium that is infinitely supportive, infinitely gentle. It is like sinking through warm, silken water, a substance made not of molecules, but of pure tranquility. Each layer you drift through is a deeper state of peace. You drift down through the layer of the day just past. The thoughts, the conversations, the tasks, and the worries. They are not attached to you. You see them as you pass, like soft, distant clouds of phosphorescence, glowing for a moment before dissolving completely into the velvet darkness. They release their hold. You release them. They fade. And you drift deeper. You sink through the layer of yesterday and the day before that. The tangled threads of memory and expectation simply unwind. They are smoothed out by the gentle pressure of this profound stillness. There is no need to analyze, no need to understand. You are simply passing through, and as you pass, all is made simple. All is made peaceful. You are unburdened, and you drift deeper still. Now you are sinking through a layer of pure quiet. The echoes of sound, the memory of noise, the very concept of a sharp edge or a sudden movement, it all dissolves. Here there is only a soft, resonant hum, the sound of the universe breathing in its sleep. It is a sound you feel more than you hear, a vibration in the very core of your being that says all is well, all is well, all is well. It is the lullaby of creation, and it sings you deeper. The darkness here is not an absence of light. It is a presence. It is a rich, warm, and comforting substance, like the softest velvet. It holds you. It is the darkness of the fertile earth, where seeds wait patiently for the right moment to grow. It is the darkness of the deep cosmos, where new stars are born in silent, breathtaking beauty. This darkness is a place of infinite potential, of absolute safety. It is a sanctuary, and within it, you are free to let go of everything, absolutely everything. You are drifting down now, toward the very bed of this great ocean of night. But there is no hard landing. There is no impact. Instead, you feel yourself coming to rest upon something unimaginably soft. It is the source, the wellspring, the silent, beating heart of stillness itself. Here, at the foundation of all things, there is only a gentle, rhythmic pulse of life. A slow, steady, patient energy that nourishes everything that is, was, and will be. You come to rest in this place. Your journey is complete for now. You are at the center of peace. Here, the work of deep restoration begins. Feel the gentle pulse of this place moving through you. It is a current of pure life force, of unconditional love. It flows into every cell of your body. Imagine this gentle, luminous energy flowing into the tips of your toes. A warm, tingling sensation of perfect peace, dissolving any and all tension. Your toes relax. Your feet let go. The energy flows up into your ankles, your shins, your calves, washing away the memory of walking, of standing, of carrying weight. Your lower legs become heavy, warm, and deeply, deeply relaxed. The current of peace flows up into your knees, your thighs, your hips. Every muscle, every fiber, every sinew releases its grip. The great, strong muscles of your legs, which carry you through your waking life, are now given permission to completely rest. They soften, they melt, they become one with the stillness that surrounds you. This warm, healing energy now pools in your pelvis, in the base of your spine, bringing a sense of profound grounding and stability even as you float. It rises up through your abdomen, your lower back, soothing and calming your core. All the vital organs within you absorb this peace. They return to their natural, effortless rhythm. Everything is working in perfect harmony, guided by an ancient, innate wisdom. There is nothing for you to do. Your body knows exactly how to heal, how to restore, how to rejuvenate itself in this sacred space. The luminous current of peace continues to rise, filling your chest, your heart space. Your heart, which beats so faithfully for you day and night, now beats in perfect rhythm with the quiet pulse of the universe. It is a slow, steady, peaceful rhythm. With every beat, it pumps not just blood, but this liquid tranquility through your entire being. Any lingering feelings of sadness or fear are gently washed away, replaced by a sense of wholeness and gentle compassion for yourself. Your breathing is slow and deep and easy. Each breath is a wave on this calm ocean. The breath breathes itself. The warmth spreads across your shoulders, down your arms, it flows through your biceps, your elbows, your forearms, all the way to your wrists, your hands, and the tips of your fingers. Your arms, which reach and hold and work so hard, now lie still and heavy and utterly at peace. Your hands are open and soft. All effort has drained away, leaving only a feeling of serene, effortless presence. Now, the energy flows up into your neck, the column that connects your body and your mind. It dissolves any tightness, any strain. Your throat softens. Your jaw releases. Let your teeth part just a little. Let your tongue rest softly in your mouth. The tiny, expressive muscles around your mouth and your eyes are given permission to smooth out, to completely let go. Your cheeks are soft. Your temples are cool and calm. The peaceful energy bathes your entire face in its gentle glow. It soothes your forehead, erasing any lines of concentration or concern. It moves over your scalp, a feeling of deep release, as if you are being gently held by the most loving hands imaginable. Your entire head is filled with this quiet, calm, and peaceful light. And your mind, your beautiful, active mind, it too is invited to rest here. Thoughts may still arise, like single, slow bubbles rising from the deep, but you do not have to follow them. You can simply watch them as they float up and gently pop, dissolving back into the silence from which they came. There are no problems to solve here, no plans to make, no memories to revisit. There is only the feeling of being, a state of pure, peaceful awareness without object or focus. This is the state from which true dreams are born. Not the chaotic, anxious dreams of a tired mind, but the healing dreams of a soul at peace. And you can feel them beginning to form now, not as stories, but as feelings, as colors, as whispers of music. Perhaps a dream thread of soft silver light begins to weave itself around you. It carries the feeling of gentle flight. You are no longer sinking, but soaring, effortlessly through a cosmos of your own making. You drift past sleeping galaxies that swirl with the colors of peacock feathers and crushed violets. You hear the faint, bell-like chime of distant stars. There is no wind, only a feeling of being carried. You are utterly free, unbound by any law but that of peace. Another thread, this one the color of deep forest moss, weaves into your dream. It brings with it the scent of damp earth after a long, soft rain. It carries the feeling of deep connection, of roots reaching down into the quiet wisdom of the planet. You might dream you are a tree, standing silent for 1,000 years, feeling the turn of the seasons, the passage of the sun and moon, the secret life teeming beneath the soil. You feel the slow, patient strength of the earth itself flowing up into you, a deep and unshakable calm. And perhaps a third thread, the color of liquid gold, like honey in the sun, winds its way into the tapestry. It brings the feeling of pure warmth, of unconditional love. It is the dream of being held, of being a child again, safe in the arms of a loving presence. It is the dream of sunlight on your skin, of a warm fire on a cold night. It is the dream of knowing, in every part of your being, that you are cherished, that you are perfect just as you are, that you are home. These dreams and others like them may come and go. They are not demands. They are gifts. They are the gentle work of your soul, sorting and healing, mending and weaving, creating a renewed sense of wholeness and peace that you will carry with you when you wake. They wash over you like the gentlest of waves, each one leaving you more rested, more peaceful, more whole than before. Your body continues its own deep, silent work. Cells are regenerating, tissues are repairing, energy is being restored. Your entire physical being is being bathed in a fountain of youth, a wellspring of vitality. Every breath you take is a breath of renewal. Every moment that passes in this deep state is a moment of profound healing. The night is deep, the world is quiet, everyone is asleep. You are part of a great silent chorus of rest that spans the entire globe. You are connected to all living things in this shared state of quiet renewal. You are not alone. You are part of the great rhythmic breath of life itself. There is nothing you need to do. Nowhere you need to be. No one you need to become. You are simply here, resting in the heart of peace, floating on an ocean of stillness, held in the arms of the universe. The time for awareness is over. The time for doing is done. The time for letting go is now. Let the final vestiges of your waking self dissolve, like a whisper of steam into the air, like a ripple smoothing out on a perfectly still pond, like a single snowflake melting into the vast white landscape of winter. Let it all go, deeper and deeper now, into the final fathomless depths of sleep, a place beyond dreams, a place of pure being, a place of absolute rest. The quiet deepens. The stillness becomes absolute. The peace is infinite. You are sleeping now. A deep, dreamless, nourishing sleep. A sleep that restores your body, calms your mind, and renews your spirit. Rest. Just rest. Deeper, softer, still, held, safe, whole. Sleep now. Sleep deep. Sleep well. Until the gentle light of a new day, filled with the peace you have gathered tonight, comes to kiss you awake. Until then, there is only this perfect, silent, and profound peace. Only this. Only sleep. And in this perfect, silent peace, a new landscape opens before you. Not a landscape for the eyes, but for the soul. It is the vast inner country of your own being, a place that exists only in the deepest heart of rest. You are drifting now in a soft, velvet darkness. It is not an empty darkness, but one filled with a quiet, waiting potential. It is the darkness of the rich, fertile earth before a seed sprouts. It is the darkness of a deep, calm ocean, far below any storm. It is the darkness of the cosmos between the stars, a silence that holds all of creation in its embrace. This darkness is a blanket, warm and impossibly soft. It holds you without pressure, supports you without effort. It asks nothing of you. It simply is. And you simply are within it. There is a sense of coming home, of returning to the very source from which you were made. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, a single point of light appears in the distance. It is not a bright, demanding light, but a gentle, shimmering luminescence, the color of softest silver. It drifts towards you, slow and graceful, like a single, weightless seed on a cosmic breeze. As it nears, you feel its warmth. It is a warmth of pure acceptance, of unconditional love. It is the light of your own essence, the spark of your own spirit, shining in the quiet dark. It circles you once, a silent greeting, and then another point of light appears, and another. Soon, the velvet darkness is softly illuminated by 1,000 of these gentle lights. They are not stars in a sky, but something more intimate. They are the lights of every cell in your body, awake and working in the quiet harmony of restoration. They are the lights of every good memory you have ever had, polished and bright. They are the lights of all the love you have ever given, and all the love you have ever received, returned to you now as a gentle, healing glow. They move around you, a slow, silent ballet of light, weaving patterns of peace and renewal. They drift through you, not as an intrusion, but as a homecoming, mending the tiny, unseen tears of a lived day, smoothing the frayed edges of your thoughts, and filling every empty space with a quiet, shimmering strength. You feel yourself becoming lighter, not floating away, but becoming filled with this light, this effortless grace. The weight of the world, the gravity of your worries, simply ceases to exist here. You are pure presence, bathed in your own gentle, restorative light. The lights begin to guide you, coalescing into a soft, shimmering pathway that unfolds before you. You follow it without thought, drifting along this river of light. The air, if you could call it that, grows warmer and carries a scent you have always known but could never name. It is the scent of deep peace, of ancient forests after a cleansing rain, of night-blooming flowers that only share their perfume with the moon. The path leads you to a garden. This is your garden, the secret, sacred garden of your innermost self. It has always been here, waiting for you to visit in the quietest hours. The ground beneath you is soft, a carpet of moss that glows with a faint emerald light. It cushions your every step, though you are not truly stepping, but gliding. Ancient trees stand as silent, loving guardians. Their bark is smooth and silver, and their leaves are a deep, midnight blue. They do not rustle in a wind, but hum with a low, soothing frequency, a song of deep and abiding calm. Flowers bloom here that do not exist in the waking world. Their petals are made of soft, condensed moonlight. They open and close in rhythm with your breathing, each one a tiny, beating heart of tranquility. With every slow, deep breath you take, they release a soft puff of shimmering pollen that drifts in the air, each mote a tiny spark of serenity that you breathe in and it becomes a part of you. In the center of the garden is a pool of water. It is perfectly still, a flawless, dark mirror. But it does not reflect you. It reflects the entire cosmos. Swirling nebulae of purple and gold, distant galaxies, and the slow, majestic dance of the planets are all contained within its serene surface. You kneel by the water's edge. You are not looking down into a pool, but up into the heart of the universe. You see that you are not just a small being on a small planet, but an integral part of this vast, interconnected, and breathtakingly beautiful whole. You see that the same stardust in the swirling galaxies is the stardust that makes up your very body. You are a child of the cosmos, and this is your birthright. This peace, this wonder, this belonging. You reach out and touch the surface of the water. It is cool and smooth as silk. As your fingers break the surface, gentle ripples spread out, not in circles, but in waves of soft colored light. The light flows up your arm, a cool, soothing energy that moves through your entire body. It is the water of life, washing away any last trace of tension, any lingering shadow of doubt or fear. It cleanses you not just from the outside, but from the very core of your being. This water holds the wisdom of eternity. It knows that all things pass. All challenges, all struggles, all moments of pain are like ripples on its surface. They exist for a moment, and then they are gone. And the deep, calm stillness remains. You feel this truth permeate every part of you. All is well. Everything is unfolding as it should. There is nothing to fix, nothing to solve. There is only this moment of profound, liquid peace. From the pool, a small, gentle stream begins to flow. It is a river of liquid starlight, a current of pure release. It flows away from the pool, winding its way through the moon petal flowers and under the silver-barked trees. This river has a purpose. It is here to carry away anything you no longer need. Any thought that has served its purpose, any emotion that has been felt and is ready to be released, you can simply offer it to the stream. You watch as a single gray stone of worry appears in your hand. You did not even know you were holding it. You look at it, thank it for the lesson it taught you, and then you gently place it in the stream. It does not sink. It is caught by the gentle current and begins to glow, its color softening from gray to silver until it dissolves completely into the light of the water and is gone. You do this again and again. A tangled knot of anxiety, a heavy shard of regret, a swirling cloud of uncertainty. One by one, you place them in the river of release. You watch as they are transformed by the gentle, starlit water and carried away, dissolving into peace, flowing out of your garden and back into the great cosmic ocean, returned to the universe as pure, neutral energy. You feel lighter and lighter still, clearer, more purely yourself than you have felt in a long, long time. Your garden becomes brighter, the humming of the trees more resonant, the scent of the flowers more fragrant. This is you, in your natural state, peaceful, whole, free. You lie down on the soft, glowing moss, beside the cosmic pool, and you simply exist. You listen to the silence. You feel the gentle hum of the universe in your bones. You are held by the earth of your own being and watched over by the stars of your own soul. The light in the garden begins to soften. The deep cosmic indigo of the night sky begins to shift at the very edges of your awareness, a subtle change towards the deep, gentle violet that comes just before the first hint of dawn. It is not time to wake, not yet. It is simply the turning of the great silent wheel of the night. The deepest work of restoration is complete. Now is the time for integration, for soaking in this profound peace until it becomes a permanent part of you. The garden does not disappear. It begins to merge with you. The strength of the ancient trees flows into your bones. The softness of the moss becomes the ease in your muscles. The gentle, glowing light of the flowers becomes the quiet joy in your heart. The calm, cosmic wisdom of the pool becomes the stillness of your mind. This sanctuary is not a place you visit and must leave behind. You are taking it with you. It is being woven into the fabric of your being. When you wake, it will be there, a silent wellspring of peace you can draw from throughout your day. The landscape of the garden dissolves now, back into the soft, warm, and peaceful darkness of deep sleep. But it has left its gifts behind. The peace is deeper now. The stillness is more profound. The sense of wholeness is absolute. You are resting at the very center of your own universe, a universe of perfect calm. Every breath is a soft, silent wave washing over the shores of your being. In and out. A rhythm of pure rest. You are being remade. You are being renewed. You are being returned to yourself. There is only the deep, quiet, nourishing dark. There is only the slow, steady rhythm of your heart. There is only the feeling of being completely and utterly safe. Sleep now. The night is your cradle. The silence is your lullaby. The darkness is your friend. Rest in this perfect peace. Rest in this absolute stillness. Rest in this infinite love. Everything is quiet. Everything is calm. Everything is well. Sleep. Just sleep. Deeper now than ever before. Softer than a whisper. Still as a silent star. You are held. You are healed. You are whole. Sleep now. Sleep deep. Sleep well. And when the morning comes, it will find you here, resting in this peace, ready to greet a new day, renewed from the inside out. Until then, there is only this perfect, final, and healing sleep. Only this. Only rest. And now, the world outside this peace begins to fade entirely. Your bed is a small, safe boat that has finally drifted into the quietest harbor in the universe. The long voyage of the day is over. The sails, which caught the winds of thought and effort, are now folded and still. The anchor has been gently lowered, settling deep, deep into the soft, comforting sands of perfect slumber. The water of this harbor is a vast, smooth mirror of polished obsidian, reflecting a sky of pure, velvety darkness. There are no waves here, not even a single ripple. There is only the slowest, most imperceptible rise and fall, a gentle rocking that is the rhythm of your own breathing, lulling you deeper and deeper into absolute tranquility. You are perfectly safe in this harbor. The noise and the rush of the waking world cannot reach you here. All is still. All is quiet. All is well. Looking up from your gentle boat, you can feel the silent, watching presence of the stars. They are ancient, steady, and infinitely calm. They do not hurry, they do not strive. They simply exist in a state of shimmering, silent grace. Feel their distant, silver light, not as something you see with your eyes, but as a gentle blanket of pure peace settling over you, cool and soft and comforting. Each star is a silent guardian, a tiny point of perfect stillness in the vast, silent tapestry of the night. And you are a part of this cosmic quiet. Your slow, deep breaths are in perfect time with the great, slow turning of the galaxies. Your own stillness is connected to the stillness of deep space. Just as each star rests peacefully in its own pocket of the universe, you are resting here, peacefully in your own perfect place of rest. You belong to this quiet. You belong to this immense and loving peace. Now feel this profound peace traveling even deeper within, a soft, warm current flowing into every hidden corner of your being. It flows into your muscles, a gentle invitation to fully release, to soften completely, to let go of every last memory of effort and tension. It seeps into your very bones, filling them with a sense of deep, unshakable groundedness and profound rest. It flows into every single cell, a quiet, humming signal to repair, to rejuvenate, to be utterly renewed. The day is being washed away, not just from your mind, but from your very essence. The weight of words spoken and unspoken, the echoes of the day's activities, the plans and lists laid for tomorrow, all of it is gently dissolving now. Every last knot of worry, every lingering thread of thought is gracefully unraveling, melting away into the nourishing, healing darkness. Now just listen, not with your ears, but with your whole self. Can you feel the silence? It is not an emptiness, it is a presence. It is the deep, resonant hum of absolute peace itself. It is the sound of the world breathing softly in its sleep. The sound of the moon making its slow, majestic journey across the sky. The sound of your own heart beating its slow, steady, faithful rhythm. A soft drumbeat for deep, deep rest. This silence is a protective blanket. It is a gentle shield. It is a beautiful song without notes, a lullaby woven from stillness itself. And it is singing you all the way down, down, down into the most restorative and healing sleep you have ever known. There is nothing left to do, not a single thing. Nothing left to think about, nothing left to figure out. There is nowhere to be but right here, held safely in this perfect stillness. The story of the day has reached its peaceful conclusion. The final page has turned. The book is gently closed. All that remains is this deep, velvet darkness and the profound comfort it holds within it. You are sinking now, gently, and so effortlessly, drifting down, down, down into the softest, warmest depths of sleep. Let go of this last wisp of thought. Let go of the feeling of your own breath. Let the silence cradle you. Let the peace surround you. Let the sleep completely renew you. There is only rest now, only stillness, only sleep. The world can wait. Everything can wait. Good night. Rest now. Sleep, deep sleep. All is well. You are safe.